Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hi if you're new here, I'm Jade. And I thought we'd do something a little bit different for my booktube this time, and that is kind of document myself reading something that maybe isn't something I would usually pick. So I've actually had quite a chill morning. I had a singing lesson with my vocal coach, and then I finished Fearless by Lauren Roberts. If you've been reading that series, I suspect you have probably been reading it recently too, or are about to. I know there's a lot of, I guess you could say, drama with that series. Apparently, it like copied Red Queen. I have never read Red Queen, so I can't say on that, but I will say I genuinely have really adored and loved the series overall. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite fantasy series ever, but super good. I've actually had quite a fantasy heavy beginning to my month. And I have a little bit more time to read today. And so I thought I would vlog reading this book because if I'm honest, I just don't really have the desire to read it. And I thought maybe if I do this, it gives me some inspiration to read it. So the book in question is this one, Playground by Richard Powers. I can't say I'd ever heard of it before, but it is my in-person's book club's pick for the month. It does say on the front it is the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. It actually has really high rating overall on Goodreads. And yeah, I don't know, it just doesn't really sound like my kind of thing. I do love the cover though. I just think it's really beautiful, and I love that Playground's written in this shimmery color. I don't really know what to expect about it, but reading the synopsis thing, I just don't feel like it's going to be my vibe. Let me read it to you. Four lives are drawn together in a sweeping panoramic new novel from Richard Powers, showcasing the Pulitzer Prize, winning author of the Overstory at the height of his skills. 12-year-old Evie, I do not know how to say her name, Bolu, it's definitely French. Bolu sinks to the bottom of a swimming pool in Montreal, strapped to one of the world's first aqualungs. Ina, oh my god, these have complex names. Ina Arroita grows up on naval bases across the Pacific with art as her only home. Two polar opposites at an elite Chicago high school bond over a 3,000-year-old game. Rafi Young will get lost in literature, while Todd Keating's work will lead to a startling AI breakthrough. They meet on the history-scarred island of Makatea in French Polynesia, where deposits of phosphorus once helped feed the world. Now the tiny atoll has been chosen for humanity's next adventure, a plan to send floating, autonomous cities out onto the open sea. But first, the island's residents must vote to greenlight the project or turn the seasteaders away. Set in the world's largest ocean, this awe-filled book explores the last wild place we have yet to colonize in a still unfolding oceanic game, and interweaves beautiful writing, rich characterization, profound themes of technology and the environment, and a deep exploration of our shared humanity in a way only Richard Powers can. So that's what it says. And honestly, I just don't know. There's nothing I read in there which makes me really want to read this. So, as I said, I thought I would document it and we can see how I cope with something that's definitely out of my comfort zone. It kind of reminds me more of all the stuff I was forced to read at university, which put me into a huge reading slump back in the day because, I was forced to read like 4 books a week that I wouldn't necessarily choose. Some of them were great, don't get me wrong. And I started not reading them and reading the SparkNotes summaries instead a lot of the time. However, I am not one to shy away from a book, and sometimes my book club does pick things that I am not fully like invested in. But I would say generally I've liked everything we've read, at least to a certain standard. But yeah, I think just because I'm such in a fantasy mood lately, because I've read so many, this just isn't standing out to me. But my book club is in basically a week, so I kind of need to get going with this one. And so yeah, I'm using this as my inspiration to read. I don't have very long to read today because I was reading Fearless and it's already the afternoon, and then I've got a really, really busy evening working with my clients. So I don't have a lot of time, but let's get it started today and we can see my initial thoughts. Okay, so as you may have seen, my cat decided to join me while I was reading. I'm not really feeling it so far because the trouble for me with multiple POV books is getting into the story and like getting to know the characters. And the way this one is started is such small little bits about each character that I am really like, it's like the story's just boom, change. And yeah, it's not really getting me into it. I am only about 30 pages in, but I do need to stop and eat before I teach all evening. I have a vocal coach, if you didn't know. So yeah, I can't, and I need to make myself presentable. I look like a mess because I've just been kind of slouching around all morning. So yeah, we will see. Obviously, as I said, 30 pages in, can't really tell. But it was a struggle. I was just like, I'm not really following it super well because it keeps chopping and changing. I don't feel I'm getting to know the characters. Obviously, we are still right near the beginning, so we'll see if that changes. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today. And I guess I will check back in tomorrow with wherever I get with and let you know. Okay, it is the next day. I'm not gonna lie, I've had kind of a terrible day. Like nothing's gone to plan. I was supposed to be meeting friends this morning for a dog walk. That got cancelled. I will say it was really grey and cold this morning, so not necessarily a bad thing. But then I also had a new client starting. They forgot, and so like my whole day was kind of like planned out, and then just nothing happened, and it hasn't put me in the best mood because obviously I've lost money. Also, my husband's off work today, so we could have done something together, but because I was going to be working, etc., didn't. And then yeah, so, can say I haven't been in the best frame of mind to read anyway, let alone a book that isn't really my thing. But I have read a little bit more, so I thought I would hop on and tell you what I'm thinking so far. So, I have got to, let me have a look. I have read up to page 131. So, I feel like I'm a significant way through. There are 381 pages total. So, I mean, I'm just over a quarter of the way through, I guess. And it's a bit better than the beginning yesterday, but I'm still not really enjoying it. So, as I was saying yesterday, you kind of get these like little snippets of different people, and they weren't really allowing me to like follow a story or connect, as well as jump between perspectives. It jumps between time, and it's just quite a lot. I'm sorry, my neighbours just started mowing the lawn. Hopefully, with the microphone, you don't hear it too loud. But yeah, as a result, I'm just sort of struggling getting into it because I don't really care about any of the characters or what's going on. There, however, I will say it is written very well. Like his writing style is super good. Um, he writes in a really concise way. He's definitely done his research, but I just feel like in terms of character accessibility, I'm just not really there. And maybe it will still build from now, but I'm just not feeling too hopeful. That being said, there's been a couple of chapters I have really liked because as we've gone on, the chapters have started getting longer. So you can kind of, get to know the characters a little bit more because I'm getting more than like a page or two on each one and then it constantly swapping over. So I have quite enjoyed. There was a part about a character, Evie, and the guy she's met and them being together. Although I just don't think they're a good match. So I'm not really feeling the romance. But the way it was written was still quite intriguing. And then the characters of Raffi and Todd, I have got to see them meeting, them sort of bonding over a game of chess. And that's quite endearing. It's been quite cute to see. Like it wasn't bad reading about their meeting and their relationship and their friendship. But again, I'm just not getting enough and I'm not getting to really know the characters. So even though it was nice reading about the meeting, etc., I don't feel like, oh wow, like I love these characters or anything. I just don't feel anything strongly, and I feel like if I'm not invested in the characters, I just don't really care what's gonna happen. But we're gonna keep going, and we will see. And I will check back in with you sometime soon. I do have quite a busy weekend. It's Easter weekend, this coming weekend, and well, I always do my shopping at the weekend, and then we're going to friends, and so yeah, it might be a little bit of a busy weekend, so I don't know how far I'll get, especially with the fact that I'm just not really feeling the pull for this book, but it's okay because, well, it's a week today, my book club, so I've got time, but yeah, we will keep rambling on. If you have read this book, by the way, please do let me know your thoughts because yeah, or if you're a fan of this author and you know other books of his, just let me know what you think. I mean, I must say, as it stands, I'm not really like feeling like picking up another, but maybe you've read this one and another and say this one's just not great or whatever. So yeah, let me know. But yeah, I will check back in with you when I've done some more reading in the future. Okay, everyone, I'm back after a morning of teaching. I have finally finished the book. Unfortunately, overall, my opinion didn't change a lot reading the end. I honestly, I didn't like the way Rafi and Todd's relationship ended. Um, it's just not what I wanted. Um, yeah, not what I expected from the beginning of their relationship, not what I expected now with their friendship. So I don't know. Like, I feel like I care about that a little bit. So that's obviously a good thing. I obviously did connect to those characters somewhat, but I just feel overall, I just couldn't really get in there because it was just too bitty for me. Like, there was too many jumps in time and character that I never really got absorbed into any of their personalities and stories, even though there was like little bits that I did like. I liked how one of our characters ended up writing a book. I thought that was really cool, like little insert. And there is a lot of like other literature references in this book, which I do really like. I think there was like 2 references to Shakespeare's The Tempest. I actually studied that at Sixth Form College back when I was younger. So yeah, like I appreciated all the little references, and I will say Richard Powers definitely is a very talented writer, but I just feel like it wasn't really for me. I feel like I am someone who likes a book based on how absorbed and how much I feel emotionally. And while there were some very clever parts of the storyline and some very dark themes, I just felt like for me it just wasn't accessible emotionally how I like to be affected. Also, you may have wondered about the cover. So it has a ray on the front, sort of under the ocean, because one of our characters, as I think I mentioned before, is a sort of marine biologist, deep sea diver kind of person, works in marine stuff and studies marine life. And there is a scene where she actually rescues a ray from a net. So I guess that's why we've got it on the cover. It is a very beautiful cover, I have to say. So yes, I made it through. I don't want to say too much about the book in case it's something that you have really wanted to be reading. I know that it's listed everywhere as like a very popular new book, and so I definitely don't want to spoil anything for anyone, and I don't feel like anything I've said really gives too much away of the plot. Hence, I didn't mention how the friendship ended with Rafi and Todd, so they're not, giving too much away. But yeah, I feel like if you like these kind of more, I guess you could say, slightly science based, less emotional books, but that still have that kind of storyline from my point of view, I think you could like it. But for me, I just couldn't get absorbed enough. But I made it through. I haven't DNF'd a book this year, even though this one was tempting. I'm gonna rate it 2 stars based on the fact that I just couldn't really get into it. But the 2 stars are for his talent, because I will tell you, I can tell Richard Powers is a superb writer. I just don't think it's for me, honestly. And maybe a part of it is because when I started it, I just wasn't in the best mood. And then also the fact that I've just definitely been in a bit more of a fancy era, especially this month. So yeah, maybe that's why. I am excited to continue reading. Emily Henry's new book comes out tomorrow. By the time this is up, it'll already be out. So I'm going to go buy that because the online book club I follow is going to do that. And I haven't actually read an Emily Henry book. I haven't read a lot of pure romance that much in the last couple of years. I used to all the time. And then this year I have read my first Ali Hazelwood and my first Abby Jimenez. So I was like, it's time to do Emily Henry. I do have Book Lovers already on my TBR, so I do need to read that, but I'm going to get the new book and join in as my inspiration to try Emily Henry, because I'm sure I'm going to love her just based on books that I tend to usually like. I feel like I'm going to love it. And then also, another new one added to my TBR is Anne Liang, This Time It's Real, which is another of her young adult novels. I wasn't too keen on her one that she released this year. It was like a great concept. I just didn't feel again that I got enough into the characters in her book. But I said I was going to give another one a go, and someone actually kindly bought this from my Amazon wishlist for me. So thank you so much to the person that got it. And I'm excited to read this at some point. So we made it through. My tips for getting through a book that you're struggling with is focus on the positives, like the fact that I could tell he was a good writer. I loved that he had other literary references and things like that. And also talking to you guys and knowing I was going to do a review and video, that kind of helps. And even if you're not going to show it to anyone, maybe that's a good tip. I don't know. But yeah, we're done. We got it through, and I definitely like challenging myself sometimes, even though it's not the easiest, because it's kind of boring always having books that I generally like. Sometimes it's good to just have one and be like, nope, to make a difference. So you will have to see how this compares to the rest of my monthly reads when my April read review thing comes out in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, bye.